Thank you all for inviting me to speak with you today and share the state of the city. I look forward to meeting with you all in person again soon, but this will have to do for now. As mayor, I'm really just one of 7 hardworking city council members. So I want to acknowledge my colleagues on Shoreline City Council. Each one of them is tremendously dedicated to the community. And we're fortunate to have a team that can work together collaboratively and respectfully, even when we have to make tough decisions for the community. As we all know, our world changed dramatically in 2020. These past 15 months have brought heartache, challenge, opportunity. I know we all grieve for the people who have died from COVID-19, and we wish the best to their families and to everyone who's been impacted by this horrible pandemic. On the business side, our small businesses are dealing with tremendous challenges trying to keep operating in a changed world and with health restrictions that none of us could have imagined. Some businesses have closed, others are soldiering on, and I want to assure you that the city is committed to helping our businesses grow and thrive as we enter this recovery phase of the pandemic. While many city facilities have remained closed to the public, city staff continue to work and provide services. Many staff who were able to telecommute did so. Our parks, public works, and utilities crews adjusted work schedules and protocols to meet safety guidelines. Council, Planning Commission, the Park Board, and for that matter, CON, all shifted to virtual meetings, and our open houses and other community meetings were also virtual. Many of our recreation staff helped students in remote learning camps, provided virtual programming for our specialized recreation participants, or supported other city programs. Working closely with other governmental agencies and community partners, the city also provided assistance to families and businesses in need. Thanks to federal CARES Act funds, we were able to dedicate nearly $500,000 to provide support for households who needed it most. This included some funding for PPE that kept local human service agencies open and able to serve their clients safely. But most of the money went toward food access support and grocery vouchers for Shoreline families and individuals. With the help of the Shoreline School District, the PTSA, our nonprofit partners, Shoreline CERT volunteers, and Public Health Seattle and King County, we were able to distribute grocery vouchers and other food support to over 450 families. The city also established a small business support program that provided over $775,000 in grants to Shoreline small businesses impacted by COVID-19. Shoreline received applications from 70 businesses totaling more than $1.2 million in grant requests. Grantees received awards up to $20,000, and we will continue to work with our small business as more support is made available through the Federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Over the past year, many families have struggled with having the resources or ability at their homes to support remote learning. We're committed to supporting these families in a safe, structured environment that meets all COVID guidelines. Remote learning camps provided approximately 84 students in grades K through 12 with safe places to learn, socialize, and recreate in small group settings. If not for these camps, many of the kids may not have been able to attend school at all. We also partnered with the Hunger Intervention Program and the PTSA to provide campers with snacks, lunches, weekend food backpacks, clothes, and their school supplies. As more people have become vaccinated, we can begin to see light at the end of the tunnel. The Puget Sound region is expecting to have a strong recovery over the next year. That doesn't mean it will be easy. We need to continue to support our small businesses, ensure our neighbors have access to food and rental assistance, and care for the vulnerable. It's still a long road ahead before we can consider Shoreline, the region, and the world back to normal. Shoreline's economy has proven to be resilient during the pandemic. We saw some year-over-year growth of sales tax from most of the retail trade sector. This might be attributable to more local spending from residents that were able to easily pivot and work from home. Shoreline also saw the continuation of a robust amount of development activity with higher than anticipated levels of construction sector sales tax. We expect this trend to continue in 2021 based on the level of permit applications. While we saw recreation program and rental revenues significantly impacted by cancellations, that impact was mostly offset by a reduction in the costs of operating those programs. The impacts of the pandemic were most evident in revenue streams the state distributes to Shoreline on a per capita basis. For example, the gas tax and local criminal justice sales tax, which saw year-over-year declines. Also declining were gambling taxes due to the inability of local casinos to operate at normal levels. In 2020, we received $2.5 million in federal CARES Act and other associated funding. We used this funding to cover costs directly related to the city's COVID response, a small business support program, and human services support programs. The city will also receive about $7.5 million from the American Rescue Plan, which President Biden signed into law in March. We will coordinate efforts with partners around the region to ensure that we invest funds in ways that create long-lasting economic benefits without creating dependence on this one-time funding. Another reason we've been able to weather the past year better than some other cities is because of our strong fiscal policies. We have a AA+ bond rating, as well as Standard & Poor's highest assessment for financial management. And we continue to maintain healthy financial reserves. Achieving such positive ratings has required tough budget decisions, and it will require more in the future. Even with our strong financial position and conservative budgeting principles, we face a structural imbalance. The cost of providing basic services continues to grow faster than the revenues that fund those services. This is largely due to constraints placed on the city's property tax levy. Excluding construction, state law limits property tax levy increases for cities to 1% each year, and that just doesn't keep pace with inflation. In 2010, Shoreline voters passed a 6-year maintenance and operations levy for basic public safety, parks, recreation, and community services. They voted to renew the levy in 2016 because state law limits these levy lid lifts to 6-year terms. Over the coming year, City Council will discuss whether to place a renewal of the levy lid lift on the ballot in 2022. In addition to the pandemic, 2 other issues that we've been grappling with over the past year include our ongoing struggles with institutional racism and the impacts of homelessness on our community. The events of the past year around the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many others bring home the stark reality that many people are unable to fully realize their potential because of racism and its impacts on our institutions. On November 30th, Council adopted a resolution reinforcing our commitment to ensuring that Shoreline is an anti-racist community. The resolution commits the city to addressing all the ways racism persists as a systemic and chronic reality. We will work together with members of our community, especially those who identify as Black, Indigenous, Hispanic, Asian, and other people of color, to co-create a vision of this anti-racist community and the outcomes and activities that will bring us closer to this vision. We will hold listening sessions to hear directly from Shoreline community members, centering the voices of people of color. We will listen to their expectations and desired outcomes for city services and policies that would result in a more equitable outcome for all Shoreline community members. We all, as a nation, must address this issue, and it has to start in every community. As leaders here in Shoreline, I and my fellow council members must be agents for change. Homelessness continues to be a significant issue in the region and throughout the state. It's a really challenging problem with many causes, including economic forces, behavioral health issues, and personal crises. It's important to remember that it isn't just a Seattle issue. Homelessness is an issue that impacts all cities and towns, and it requires all of us to work together on solutions. In Shoreline, we've been working to end homelessness in several ways. We've partnered with King County and nonprofits on projects that help address some unmet shelter and housing needs right here in North King County. The most recent project developed over the past year On April 1st, Lake City Partners began providing services at the North King County Enhanced Shelter in Shoreline. Located in the former Oaks Nursing Home at Aurora and 160th, the Enhanced Shelter provides 24/7 services for up to 60 adults. Research conducted in 2019 and 2020 showed that a 24/7 shelter for adults was the biggest gap in North King County for those experiencing homelessness. And enhanced shelters recognize that individuals need to have safe and stable shelter to address the challenges that are preventing long-term housing stability. Lake City Partners assign case managers to shelter residents and provide meals, supplies for personal hygiene, health services, and laundry facilities. Having a shelter with individual rooms provides privacy and security for residents and allows them more dignity as they work to stabilize their health and find permanent housing. This past winter, the city again partnered with the North Urban Human Services Alliance and Lake City Partners to operate an emergency severe weather shelter. NUSA activated the shelter for 10 nights this winter with an average of 6 guests per night. We will continue to work with our regional partners to address homelessness. It's a complex issue that requires all jurisdictions to do their part, and I'm proud that Shoreline has stepped up to address this issue here in our community. As we look to the future, we will continue to make needed improvements to strengthen our infrastructure and maintain the public services the community expects. One of our most important assets is our park system. During the pandemic, we saw just how important it is to have outdoor recreation opportunities. The city's Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan calls for us to enhance recreation opportunities and to ensure that we have adequate parkland for future generations. That was what we hoped to do with the bond measure that was on the April ballot. And while Shoreline voters showed strong support for Proposition 1, with over 72% voting yes, not enough people voted. For a bond measure to be validated, state law requires at least 40% of the votes cast in the previous general election to be cast, whether yes or no, for the bond measure. We needed 14,092 votes, and we got 13,928, just 164 votes short of what we needed. Over the next couple of months, Council will be discussing whether to place the measure on a future ballot. Other infrastructure investments we're making include sidewalks. The first sidewalk project that was part of the 2018 Sidewalk Improvement Ballot Measure breaks ground this summer. That project is First Avenue Northeast between 193rd and 195th. Construction will start in a couple months. This short segment will fill a gap on First Avenue, providing a continuous sidewalk from 185th to 205th and connecting to the 195th trail. In 2022, we will install sidewalks on both sides of 5th Avenue Northeast from 175th to 182nd Streets in preparation for light rail. We plan to finish all 12 locations listed in the bond measure within 10 years. In June 2018, the City Council approved an additional $20 vehicle license fee for sidewalk maintenance and repair. As a result of Initiative 976 in 2019, planning for those projects was put on hold, and then the Supreme Court's 2020 decision that I-976 was unconstitutional means that we're again able to use these funds to repair and maintain our sidewalk network. In addition to city investments, and in spite of a difficult year, we continue to see other development and strong private investment in Shoreline. In 2020, we received over 2,500 permit applications for projects worth nearly $250 million. And as you know, construction on the Linwood Link Light Rail extension through Shoreline is well underway. And with 2 stations in Shoreline opening in 2024, they will connect our neighborhoods to the region with frequent and reliable high-capacity transit. To promote vibrant, walkable communities, the City Council adopted forward-looking plans for the areas around the 2 stations. The 185th Station Subarea Plan has been in effect for 6 years, and the 148th Station Subarea Plan for nearly 5 years. The vision for these areas is for transit-oriented development with a variety of housing choices, public and private amenities. These will be environmentally friendly neighborhoods where walking, biking, and transit are the best choice for most trips. While overall, the sub-area plans are progressing as anticipated, there's an opportunity to improve city regulations to make it more likely that the community's vision for these station areas will be fully realized. For example, there haven't been any new commercial projects yet, nor has there been any development in the area closest to the station that allows for the tallest buildings. Although there are many factors that influence this, including land prices, market conditions, and other things beyond the city's control, our regulations are likely also part of the reason. So Council has asked staff to review those regulations and bring forward recommendations to simplify them and focus on the requirements that are most important to us, including efficient use of land, environmental sustainability, and housing options for all economic levels. On September 30th, 2013, Council adopted the Shoreline Climate Action Plan. The plan commits us to reducing community greenhouse gas emissions 50% below 2007 levels by 2030 and 80% by 2050. The City Council recently reviewed progress on our environmental sustainability indicators and found that of the 22 indicators, we met 4 of them in 2019 and 11 showed improvement in 2020. I'm very proud that since 2006, Shoreline has added over 680 green residential units to the community. In fact, Shoreline is the leader in the Puget Sound region for built green units, with nearly twice as many as any other city. We didn't meet our goal of 70% diversion of waste from the landfill by 2020, but we have improved a bit since 2016, when the diversion rate was 44%. In 2020, we achieved 50%. We're still targeting a goal of 0 waste by 2030, but we'll only get there if everyone works on it together. We're in the process of updating our climate action plan to reflect updated greenhouse gas emissions inventory and new technologies and programs that are now available for a changing community. The updated climate action plan will outline timely strategies to further reduce community greenhouse gas emissions over the next 5 years. Shoreline has been and will continue to be a leader in addressing environmental sustainability and climate change. In early 2020, we were very excited to open Community Court in Shoreline. Community Court is an alternative problem-solving court that differs from traditional court in that it seeks to identify and address the underlying challenges of court participants that may contribute to criminal activity. We had just started holding Community Court at City Hall when we had to stop due to the pandemic. And we're very happy to say that Community Court will be back in session soon. For nonviolent misdemeanants who experience mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and/or extreme poverty, the criminal justice system just isn't working. It's not working because it doesn't address the causes of the criminal behavior. Individuals are repeatedly arrested, booked, and released, and the cycle repeats with no change in the behavior. Community Court provides services and accountability for those who are eligible and choose to participate. An assessment is conducted for all Community Court participants to identify their challenges and strengths. The assessment provides information to help determine what follow-up steps the court will require. An integral part of the Community Court is the Community Resource Center. The Resource Center consists of community partners who provide a wide array of services to help court participants. Some of the partners that will participate in the Shoreline Resource Center include HopeLink, DSHS, Goodwill, and ICRON Greater Seattle, which offers a continuum of vocational and behavioral health services in an outpatient setting. The other great thing about the Community Resource Center is that it will be available to all members of the public, not just community court participants. I'm proud of what we've accomplished as a city over the past few years, and I'm excited for our future. Thank you for your time today and for your support of this great community.